I don't know why that's a big advantage in a war to take out bridges. It doesn't make any sense to me. And you
Well,
take out the electricity. Now, the electricity creates havoc among all the
yeah,
people
I
that
can't
live in the
imagine
cities.
that bridges are that important
Yeah,
in a desert country. It's not like the country is chopped up by a bunch of waterways the way like
right.
the Netherlands are. Um,
Yeah, yeah. I see. See. So, but in either case, I don't think you're progressing by taking out bridges and you're taking out the electrical units. I just don't see them going anywhere with that strategy. I hate to say it. If you want to go somewhere, you got to take out the people.
and
You know.
well, in the Vietnam War, a phrase used often was hearts and minds, which is that
Yeah.
if the U.S. was fighting on behalf of South Vietnam, which was a capitalist government fighting the communist North Vietnamese government, but the deal
Right.
is that they were also fighting to, you know, to see which side was considered, less asshole or assholeish by the people.
Yeah.
And the U.S. did not win that battle either in Vietnam. And if we take out their bridges, their infrastructure, their power in Iran, so a huge majority of the Iranian people hate the Revolutionary Guard.
Right.
And between 80 and 95% of the people hate them. But if we like create a lot of havoc and misery, you know, I don't know how much of that we can do
Yeah.
and have the
Yeah.
people's.
I think taking out infrastructure is the wrong strategy. They need to target the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, which people don't like. But Dr. Sharif has joined us from Bangladesh. He has more of a insight of what's going on that side of the world than the rest of us. So give us your pearls of wisdom, Dr. Sharif.
Thank you. Thank you. What we understand that today is a very critical, this week is very critical for us. And what we are observing, yes, there is a ongoing conflict, full war, and the US has carried a new major airstrike, including attack of the well infrastructure in the Kurg Island. Iran has threatening to the strain like strong attack in UAE, specifically in their data centers, and possibly targeting regional oil facilities. Iran has set strike condition for the peace talk, including stop all US strike. They want full peace in these discussions. They want guarantees of no future strike, and definitely they want compensation for damage. So this may create a very critical moment in this region, specifically if you focus on this Hormuz. Iran has disrupted the Strait of Hormuz, affecting the global oil supply. This global oil supply actually creating heavily impact in India, Bangladesh, Pakistan, including 35 countries in Asia Pacific as well as in Africa. So it actually create a very critical issues for country like Bangladesh. Uh, Also, we are observing there are several internet blackout, limited access to the real informations of the citizen, both in Israel and Iran. There is escalation, more strike, and regional war may happening because UAE, Qatar, and Saudi Arabia, everybody joining in this war and everything. Also, we are observing that. Pakistan, Turkey, and these countries they are trying to negotiate these issues, but Iran refused to go for any contract with USA in this situation. So negotiation, both sides accept, but they have their own conditions. So what we understand that this fighting is happening now, and the World War look like it's a World War III, and it may be very challenging for. Middle East and this Asia Pacific because of this oil and gas and everything. And I'm sure it will heavily affect US market because USA has lot of financial and economical challenge. So this is very challenging week for all of us. Challenging week for not only for Asia Pacific, I think challenging week for North America and other thing. But solution actually US people has. USA people can take the solution because this is a political and there is a misuse of political diplomacy. USA people can help their president to take real decisions for global peace.
Here's something I just found out a minute ago. So, Afghanistan is any country trying to invade or take over or subdue Afghanistan has problems because Afghanistan is extremely mountainous and it's just hard to fight across mountainous terrain. It's easy for the locals to hold the land. I thought Iran was just this big desert expanse because you think Mideast. Just looked it up, and Iran is 80% mountainous. And I just asked how easy would it be to fight the Revolutionary Guard, and they said one reason it would be hard is because it's all freaking mountains, and it's hard to fight in mountainous terrain, and so the whole southwestern border of Iran quickly rises into mountains, and that's where we'd have to invade from the south. And then to get to Tehran, the capital, it's all freaking mountains. So yeah, it wouldn't be just like an easy hike across flat land. It would be fighting hill to hill.
Also, how big is it compared to Texas?
2.5 times the size of Texas.
2.5
4 times. Now we had a fairly easy time in Iraq, but it's 4 times the size of Iraq. And when you think of flat countries, I bet you that Iraq is a lot flatter than we just rolled in there and rolled across the country.
Yeah, because it's in the Mesopotamian plain where Iran is not. So Iran would be very difficult to physically occupy, which I don't think that's in the U.S. cards, is to do that at this point in time. What seems to be in the cards is destroying their electricity, which boggles my mind because I don't see strategically that being a great move on the chessboard. And destroying bridges, I don't see that being a great move. So I do see, if they want to be positive, when the Iranian Revolutionary Guard decides to hang people or execute people, then you go and you blow them all up. Now that, I think, would be very positive because...
there's another problem with that in that you can't, according to this AI article, you can't decapitate the guard because it can utilize 32 provincial units that can operate independently, making decapitation strikes against central leadership less effective. They're well embedded in the general population. We saw what happened in Gaza. We saw how killy you have to be and how much damage you have to do to with Hamas, well embedded in the civilian population.
But unfortunately, that's what you have to do. There was a article on Stalingrad. Okay, if you look that up, how many people died in one battle in Stalingrad? 2 million people. I mean, that was just one battle in World War II.
And the Germans didn't win. The Russians held Stalingrad. Things became super, super awful. They ate all the animals in the zoo. There were many instances of cannibalism. They ran out of everything, but still they held out against the Germans.
Yeah, and in the Battle of Kursk, there were 600,000 people that were killed. And see, what I think is that the administration and people that study war have to up the game in terms of amount of numbers of deaths if you want to be realistic in this conflict.
Well, okay, but you have 2 people in charge, Hegseth and Trump, who haven't really studied war. I saw an analysis of Hegseth's experience. Hegseth never intended to rise up through the ranks. He bounced in and out of the military. Sometimes he was active duty. A lot of times he was National Guard. Sometimes he was just in private industry. And he didn't take any to rise up to be a colonel and then a general. You have to go to war college and only 3% of colonels make it to general. That you have 4 years to rise in rank, or else you're mustered out, you're retired, and only three. And to make it from colonel to general, you have to go to various war colleges. You have to, as a lawyer, you have to take continuing education, right?
Correct. Right.
So the military is nothing but that. You're always studying, training to move on to the next rank. And so that by the time somebody's a general, they've been trained in war planning, and they've been stationed.
They understand it.
They have 20 years, 30 years. Hegseth had 10 years in and out of the military, took none of these courses, and this is the guy who's directing our efforts.
Yeah, he's basically an infantryman and not a historian. I was Phi Alpha Theta when I was in history, a history minor in college. I think he graduated magna cum barely. And so you have that guy who's leading who has no clue about the historical aspects.
Yeah, I think the largest, I think you led a platoon. I don't know how many people in a platoon, but it's not many.
Yeah, it's not a big leadership position. And so here you have a guy who's basically, I don't want to use the word incompetent, but basically he's incompetent to run a organization as big as the U.S. military. The Department of Defense is basically a $1 trillion organization. So the first thing he does, of course, is fires all the competent people around him, which I think is hilarious, because that's the last thing you want to do if you're incompetent.
We mentioned Russia. You mentioned Stalingrad. And
Stalingrad was big. Yeah.
So, but Stalin had problems fighting World War II because he was paranoid and he murdered all the competent military leaders. Right. So when Hitler invaded, they didn't have the military experts to. It took a year or two for them to develop any kind of expertise, and those were years in which, Russia lost, as you said, millions of people.
So the administration is shooting them by the hip type of leadership. And so what they're probably going to do is do something that is dumb, you can count on it, which is to take out bridges, which will give them no advantage whatsoever, and then take out the electrical plants, which will also give no advantage whatsoever, as opposed to striking the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, which will give them tremendous advantage. And I just think that this thing is, I'm keeping all my money out of the market because I think this thing's going south real quick, starting tonight. I mean, it's just going to be stupid because all the support they have by the Iranian people will vaporize overnight when you start pulling moves like that. They're bad moves on the chessboard. That is not the moves that you make if you're a grandmaster. That's a move you make if you're a Potser, And so, I mean, we'll see what happens. But
all right. So if you were in Hegseth's position, what would you do? Ground invasion?
No, the ground invasion, you're just going to get. It's not going to do it. What I would do is I would use the air strikes to first go after any place where there are missiles that head toward us, because we have the technology to find it. Number two, I'd go after the Iranian Revolutionary Guard en masse and be brutal about it. I would not hesitate to take out 100,000, 200,000 people. Not whatsoever.
But
okay?
if you take out 100,000 people,
100,000 to 200,000.
We know from looking at Gaza and looking, like Sasha will tell you, that to take out one Revolutionary Guardsman, you're going to incidentally take out one regular person for every guardsman you take out.
There's collateral damage. War is not it's not a clean exercise. I mean, when the United States, remember, the United States is great in dropping bombs. We dropped a bomb on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. 100,000 people each were killed. What we don't talk about is the fire bombs in Tokyo, which we killed more than 100,000 people. Okay, 100,000 people in a war is nothing. Go look up how many people in Iraq died because of the
Million
United States
people
invasion.
after Iraq fell.
Right.
In the first half of the Civil War, 500,000 died. Obama went in, pacified the country, and then Republicans criticized him for pulling. Well, Bush then Obama knocked that down, and Obama pulled out, and another 500,000 people died. So
Yeah. Well, I mean, like I said, that's the reality. This is the reality, and none of the news stations are talking about this, which boggles my mind because it's the reality of the situation. And I don't know if anyone addressed the Donald saying, look, are you willing to kill 200,000 people or 250,000 people? If the answer is yes, the U.S. will win the war. If the answer is no, what are we doing here? I mean, seriously, you might as well pack up your bags and go home, because that is the reality. That's the history. That is just pure business, whether you like it or not. And Jatovy can jump up, oh, you don't care. No, that's not what you care about. It's just the numbers, baby.
Initially, if you decided to do a surprise strike against the Revolutionary Guard, you'd have to blow up their buildings in every major city. And
That's
then
correct.
once you do, and so say you manage to kill 30,000 of them, and incidentally, you kill another 30,000 of people who aren't part of the Guard. They're women, children, men who aren't part of it.
Right.
And then the Guard sees what's going on. Then they disperse. They don't hang out at headquarters anymore. Then they spread out. And then for every Revolutionary Guard person you kill with more bombing, then you're going to kill 2 civilians.
Yeah, it'll become increasingly more difficult. But Sharif, you have a comment on huge amounts of people.
Actually, what I understand from this war and other things, USA do not have enough study about this Iran and other things. That is the creating most challenging part for USA, for Israel, even for the global community. Look, if you see this conflict, definitely Iran is protecting, right? Iran actually taking lots of initiative, and I think that USA militaries and USA people, they do not think that they will move in this way. Actually, there are 3 things: the global media, I think the defense strategy, and everybody actually avoiding about Iran. Number 1, their financial strength. Number 2, their technology, specifically for the missile. And number 3, their political complex process. So Iran, long time, long time, USA actually gives them economical barrier and so on. So Iran actually identify their own financial solutions. So Iran political military strategy is shaped by the sanction and regional rivalry and so on. And so it has explored using cryptocurrency to bypass financial restriction, even trade weapons, lowering transactions barriers. At the same time, if you see these Iran missile revolutions, Iran and North Korea maintain the long-standing missile cooperation, exchange technology, component, expertise since 1980s, which is another technological advancement Iran get, and I think USA or Israel, they do not imagine this kind of challenge may happen. These partnerships help Iran develop cheaper and more efficient missile system despite the sanctions. And another thing, this is another misunderstanding of the US media and US political institutions and so on, that politically Iran operate a very complex hybrid system combining religious authority, elected institutions, allowing centralized strategic decision while maintaining limited democratic process. So together, these 3 elements, what I'm discussing, number 1, the financial barrier, they create cryptocurrency because they have a lot of oil and gas, right? And they can create cheapest cryptocurrency for all of their people. So long time Iran take preparations, USA overlook it. So Iran actually identify the system of the system. In between system, they identify the weakness and they go for cryptocurrency. The same way in the defense system, they do focus on this relationship in between Russia and North Korea, and they do go for research and innovation and cheapest missile and so on. And definitely, what USA actually assuming that 80% people gonna support this US military and so on. Practically, it's almost impossible because they have a combine of religious and political complex system. This is not so easy. Like Iran tried to kill this Khomeini, and they think that they destroyed the whole system. This is not like Venezuela. Even this is not like Bangladesh. This is Iran. Iran has a very, very complex system. I am observing plus 35 days different medias and other things and so on. I'm sorry to say most of the medias and other institutions, they do not have understanding these complex procedures of number one, this economical revolution, what Iran has. Number two, this missile revolution, what Iran has with this Russia and North Korea. Also, they do not have clear understanding this political system of Iran. So this is this three. I want to say the pillar for Iran, and USA definitely has to face a lot of challenges to probe Iran totally.
So
That is why US actually struggling, and it's almost impossible.
here's what
It's almost
Trump
impossible
posted.
for USA. The first shows I say, yeah, Iran has 5,000 years of political and culture and all of the things.
So Trump posted this on Truth Social, I don't know, 12 hours ago. A whole civilization will die tonight, never to be brought back again. I don't want that to happen, but it probably will. And then he said, now that we have complete and total regime change, where different, smarter, and less radicalized minds prevail, maybe something revolutionarily wonderful can happen. Who knows?
Actually,
So, I mean,
Trump administration do not have a Trump administration do not have clear understanding about USA. The day one, I said, I think 1 month ago, this TV shows, Iran has 5,000 years of cultures, right? Persian has 5,000 years of culture. US administrations and their war strategies and so on, they misunderstand to studies the political system, economical system, as well as this missile and technological revolutions. So it's almost impossible to destroy whole Iran.
So we talked about you've got 200,000 Iranian Revolutionary Guards in the little bar down there. So yeah,
Right.
it's around 150, but they can pull more people into it because they have
Yeah.
610,000 regular army soldiers.
Yeah.
They have
But
another third of a
here-
million reserves. So
here's what happens though, Rick. Once they eliminate 200,000 Iran Revolutionary Guards, it demoralizes the other 600,000. I mean, again, students of history know that. In other words, it's like, I'm energized. No, you're not. When everybody drops around you, your energy level goes down tremendously. That's the reason I'm saying he needs to eliminate 200,000 Iranian Revolutionary Guards, and then it drops. Because let's look at Japan, for example. Remember, the United States in Okinawa, there was 100,000 U.S. soldiers were killed, but they killed almost everybody in Okinawa. I mean, over 100,000 people. And then they dropped 2 atomic bombs, which killed 200,000 people. And they firebombed Tokyo, which was 100,000 people. Now, remember, the Japanese were entrenched, just like the Iranians. They weren't going to change. And their supreme leader was God. And guess what? They were demoralized. That's one reason, like I'm saying, is that shooting 1 or 2 or 10 or 100, that's not going to demoralize a country. To demoralize and degrade, you need to do this.
So I've read that some people theorize that Japan gave up not because of the atomic bombs, but because they knew that if they didn't, Russia was going to come in from the north. And
well, yeah, that could be true, but also at the same time, it was very demoralizing because the United States at that point in time seemed to have no problem in destroying the entire island. Like I said, a person who's going to engage in this type of behavior needs to be a complete sociopath. By the way, they may have found one of Donald Trump. We'll know more tomorrow. Okay. and
So,
the thing is,
if you want to look for parallels, so the U.S. and the coalition led by the U.S. in 2003 that invaded Iraq, there was a 26-day ground war before Iraq fell, before they were demoralized, they gave up. And to do that, the Allied, the U.S. forces only killed between 11,000 and 15,000 Iraqis, including, between a quarter and a half of those were civilians. But it took 4 weeks. They gave up. They folded, and we're talking with less than a tenth of the casualties we're talking for Iran.
Right.
It was 15,000 in Iraq.
Yeah.
The civil war that came later killed 1 million. You're talking about sending U.S. troops in to kill 10 times that number.
No, I don't think you need to do U.S. troops. You have enough aerial capacity to knock out 200,000 Iranian Revolutionary Guards. But like you said, you're also going to have collateral damage by the Iranian people. And who knows how many of that's going to be, 100,000, another 200,000? We don't know. But at that level, what happens, it demoralizes any leadership whatsoever. And unfortunately, that is what you have to do if you want to change what's going on over there. Other than that, you might as well pack up your bags and leave. Nothing's going to happen. And knocking out the electricity isn't going to do anything. Unfortunately, it's like this. War is health. I think Sherman said that in the U.S. Civil War. It's health. Okay. So the thing is, are you going to do this or not? And I guess we'll know more tonight. My belief is that Iran isn't going to change their position. They're going to hold tight. Okay. So it'll be up to Donald to make the move on the chessboard. Is he going to start, which I think is a weak move, knocking out the electricity and the bridges? I mean, I'm going like, you got to be kidding me, but I think that's what he's going to do. In other words, I think tomorrow when we're talking, you're going to see, he blew up a bunch of bridges. He got 180 bridges, big deal. And Lord knows how many electrical plants are going to go.
So, and it turns out that based on Iran's geography, that these bridges, for the most part, aren't over waterways. They are, when you have a mountainous country, they're like the bridges you have in Colorado that just go bridge like a valley, right? That in the mountains. So you're knocking out these bridges, which make it easy to go from one high elevation area to another, but people can still walk down in the valley, walk back up. You're not like, it's not like.
Well, it makes it more difficult transporting goods. And obviously they knock out electricity. It knocks out your ability to heat, cool your homes, keep your food and refrigerated.
None of this significantly degrades the Revolutionary Guard's ability to fight.
Well, I think that might be part of the plan if they have a master plan. But if they do, I don't know who's directing it. But still, at the end of the day, you're not going to change people's minds. People will not just turn around and say, hey, I'm a Republican, I'm going to become a Democrat tomorrow. It ain't going to happen, And so, unfortunately, this is one reason this has to take place. And the thing is, but you may be right. It may be 20,000 and you've taken out enough people that they're demoralized. But you have to be prepared to do this. If you're not prepared to do this, go home. Pack up your bags, go home, declare victory, do whatever you want. But nothing's going to change in Iran. It ain't going to happen. So, and this is just the history of war. It's not anything personal. It's been going on, like Sharif says, thousands of years. I have books on here on battles. Okay. And it's not unusual to have 60 or 70,000 people die in some battle you never even heard of, let alone this, which right now no one's really died in. What, a couple thousand people? That's nothing. You got to up your numbers. You got to up your game, buddy. And let's get real. We're talking. There's 90 million Iranians out there. With 90 million Iranians, if you kill 15,000, I just don't think you're going to see any change. Kill 200,000, I think you're going to have a change. You're going to have demoralized people, and that's just the way it is. So, hey, Jacoby joined us on this wonderful, spiritual, morbid Tuesday, because by tomorrow I think you're going to see the electricity go out in Iran. It goes out here in Spain every now and then. We have power surges. But we're off the grid, so we're not reliant on oil or gas. And I think you're going to see bridges being blown up. So tomorrow we'll have a lot to talk about, because I believe Iran's going to stand pat. There will be no movement on their part. It's too early. They haven't seen enough damage yet. And now the question is, what's the guy in the Oval Office going to do? And he claims he's going to take out electricity and bridges. which to me, I'm going like, okay, that's not going to accomplish anything, but if it makes you feel good, Donald, you can probably do it, Oh, Jacoby, we can't hear you, which is hard to believe.
So
now you got the floor.
Basically, we've done nothing but destabilize the Middle East, cause a worldwide energy crisis, destroy the image of any type of morality that the U.S. had. Just to, again, there was no, as you said, nothing's changed in Iran, and it's not going to change. What Trump did was just, again, destabilize the Middle East, got people killed, so there's a lot of blood on his hand. Yeah, I mean,
he's done nothing.
He's committed war crimes already, so now he's talking about committing war crimes again if Iran doesn't do the deal. Again, he's really destroyed the image of the U.S. and he's pretty much bankrupted a lot of people in the U.S. based off of his war of choice, because he wanted to create some crazy conquest because he thinks he runs and owns everything and the world. So, yeah, we're in a bad position, extremely bad position.
Basically,
and if he goes through with his idea of, again, committing war crimes, we're going to be essentially cutting off all of our allies. Everything about the U.S. is going to change.
Well, his base doesn't care. His base doesn't care.
Yeah,
about
I agree. His base doesn't care, but it's about people like Dr. Sharif and his viewpoint of what the U.S. used to stand for and used to be. That's what's going to be destroyed. It's people outside of the U.S. It's people within the U.S. who, again, yesterday I talked to when we were talking to David Walker, I told him we were about to commit war crimes, and he said, well, I don't think we should do that. I don't think we are. I don't think we're ever going to do that. Well, we're about to commit war crimes. We've already committed some and won't own up to it, but we're about to commit war crimes. He blatantly said, I'm going to commit war crimes if they don't do what I say they should do. So that's a whole different ball game that we're going to have to deal with, because what makes us any different than Russia? What makes us any different than Maduro? What makes us any different than talking about China and all these other quote unquote enemies that we supposedly have? So this puts us on the same exact playing field as everywhere else, and we are going to be seen just as bad as everybody else. That is what Trump is talking about destroying. Iran's not. We did nothing in Iran except for kill people, blow people up, commit war crimes, and now we're blatantly saying we're going to commit more war crimes.
So I asked AI a couple questions, which is what's happened to public sentiment in Iran since the U.S. started bombing it, and has the IRGC, the Revolutionary Guard, deteriorated since the U.S. started blowing up Iran? And yeah, there's been significant structural and military deterioration of the IRGC. However, internal consolidation, despite military losses, while physically weakened, the IRGC has tightened its grip on domestic power, taken de facto control of the government. They are the government now, forcing political deadlock and moving to ensure regime survival. Operational status, despite degradation, the IRGC continues to engage in asymmetric warfare, disrupting shipping and targeting neighboring nations. Here, let's see what Steve has to say.
Oh, I'm sorry I'm late, guys. Just got a little tied up this morning. I'll tell you, it's just I really don't like it when, you know, I love the points that Toby has made about, you know, just war crimes and, you know, being vindictive and saying you're going to pulverize nations. This is just not good for U.S. foreign policy or stand in the world. I don't know where we go from here. I mean, I pray for the loss of American life. I pray for the troops, the families. But I think the midterms are going to go Democrat. But you got to worry about the president of the United States in 28. And that, to me, is the biggest concern I have is how is the party going to unite around somebody that can take out Trump if he does one again, or J.D. Vance. But right now, you know, Kamala Harris is coming here next week. There's a rumor she's running again. You got Buttigieg running. You got Bashir. You got Newsom. You got Cory Booker. You're going to have, you know, 15 Democrats running. And I think that's just going to divide the party, and then we're going to be here in 28 with a Republican in the White House continuing the same
So,
issues. Well,
you're going to need. I disagree that there's going to be a huge. I mean, we're 3 years away from that vote, and yes, there's going to be the everybody. I mean, when we had multiple people going in or starting 2-3 years out before, I think right now everybody is frustrated. Everybody is upset. I mean, when you lose, that's what happens. And in 2024, that's what happened. And because Kamala Harris did a decent job in terms of running. I mean, she did what she could in 100 days. And what ended up happening, what she ran up against was a tsunami of a ton of other things that were out of her control. What happened was the only reason Trump won, because truthfully, the public sentiment was against the Biden administration to start with, but she had started to change that. But until, because when you watch if you go back and look at the timeline and actually look at all the polling, you saw Kamala Harris catching up on the polling. The key points, if you look at the timeline, look at when the first assassination attempt happened. You see the public sentiment switch. You see that became a calling card for Trump and his base, and then the public sentiment started changing. When the second assassination attempt happened, again, public sentiment started pulling away from her. Those are the key moments of the actual campaign, which shifted everything back away. Because again, public sentiment was changing. Even after the debate with Kamala Harris, Trump didn't want to do it again. Why? Because he lost bad, and people were shifting against him. So then, again, there were key moments. So she had no control out of that, and that tsunami came, and whoever was there, it wasn't Kamala Harris's fault. It was just anybody who was running against Trump. They played that card, and that card got him voted. That card got him in.
I think whoever the Democratic candidate is going to be, they're going to have to be as belligerent as the Republican candidate. you're shaking your head. No, but Harris ran a campaign of hope like Obama, and it was like swamped with bullshit from the Republicans. Newsom is pretty belligerent. And
Well,
I think you're going to need, and we know Vance, if he's the candidate, will be belligerent.
The only reason I don't think you have to go the belligerent route, again, Trump is a unique individual in this political sphere. And even when he went belligerent, he wasn't winning votes. It was not until those assassination attempts that everybody turned off everything that he said, and it was, hey, I'm voting him. And then on top of that, the country itself is tired of the belligerence. I think the person has to be able to stand up to that belligerence and be able to push back in a very different way. Kamala Harris didn't push back; she just ignored it. No, you've got to be able to attack that belligerence in a different route and take away that power. So when they're laughing and joking, I mean, honestly, the best analogy that they could use and they could study, and honestly, it is, I mean, it's a real world thing, but in movie form, 8 Mile. The last battle rap scene is actually what should be studied, because what happens, and honestly, battle rap within itself should be studied as to how you're going to respond, because you can give a different perspective. And when somebody's coming at you, you take away that power. You tell them, okay, you're going to tell me that I wanted all these people. I mean, I wanted all this and I wanted this. You're saying every day you go out there and tell everybody that I want that the Democrat Party wants all these 200, that wants these criminals in. But really, I'm agreeing with you. I don't want criminal. You've got to be able to take away that power.
Right.
That they're
So
already
there are parallels where after Vietnam and Nixon, the country was very tired of that, and they elected this like old school Christian guy, Jimmy Carter, who came across as kind of wimpy. Though if you look at his record, he actually wasn't, but he told people to in the winter, put on a sweater, turn down your thermostat. People hated that. Reagan came in along with the SU, like Jimmy Carter wanted people to burn less by fuel. So saying goodbye to my wife. And Reagan said, the hell with that. We're coming back strong. So for 4 years, we had a wimpy message. And then Reagan came in and gave us SUVs and Morning in America. So there might be a window. If this war turns out shitty enough, there might be a window for a more peaceable candidate. Well, I guess we don't know yet.
Mhm.
And we'll know tomorrow, because we're at the hour and Mark is telling us we have to go. So we'll see you tomorrow.
Hey, Mark, we're going to do a show on
Sunday.